He's having surgery. Actually, he had surgery already. Kadarius Toney, week 1 in question due to the knee. Surgery took place today, apparently. Today or yesterday. And there's some serious questions about whether he'll be ready for week 1 or not. Now, he could be ready for week 1, but the question we got to ask ourselves, like we asked ourselves yesterday, isn't, oh my God, he's a total avoid. It's at his new cost of entry. What are we doing? But more importantly, Sky Moore. More importantly, Sky Moore goes to the moon. It's a adjust and adapt season every season. And Sky Moore has the most potential in this situation. He is the counterpart, the guy on the opposite side, the guy doing the same things on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage, or the center. And you got a guy in Sky Moore who's adapted and evolved in this offense enough to where I think Andy Reid's going to trust him. So we're going to talk about whether we still like this guy and where, because you can't draft him in 6th round, 7th round territory anymore, even 8th round territory. But is he still attractive as a 11, 12, 13 round player? Absolutely. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm staying away from. Where's your entry point? Where's your cost of entry? I'm still going to buy him. I'm going to let everybody who yesterday, off the news that he had a tweaked knee, I'm going to let everybody that moved from round 7 to round 9-10 move from round 9-10 to 11-12, or I'm not drafting him. So, but Sky Moore is the conversation piece today, though, to be frank, because, look, I love Sky Moore. And he has a lot of upside. Rashee Rice I like a lot, but he's a young guy. We're going to talk all about that and more. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
What is up, good people? News desk.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So, we're here again. We were here yesterday discussing this, and I know everybody's going to be like, Smitty, it's time to let him go. It's time to walk away from Kadarius Toney, and you can walk away if you want. I'm seriously going to still be in at some point. They're not going to write him off entirely because he had a knee injury. They're very much excited about getting him on the field. Now, the only problem is he's going to have a potentially slow start. Maybe Sky Moore grabs a kung fu grip on the targets and never really relinquishes the number 1 role. That's certainly a possibility, and that's why we're all in on Sky Moore to some degree. At least I am. I'll take Sky Moore all day long. The question is, how high will Sky Moore climb? I think because there's ambiguity in that situation in terms of Rashee Rice. You got Richie James. You got Justin Ross. I love Justin Ross. This could be a cracked door and opening for Justin Ross. It could be a cracked door opening for Sky Moore. And I think because there's ambiguity there, and there's a lot of people concerned about not knowing which player to grab, Sky Moore sees a still pretty reasonable ADP, I think, leveling. I think he certainly climbs. But I don't know that he climbs into like where Kadarius Toney was going at all. I think he's still very, very much in like the 9-10 round territory. If Sky Moore climbed to 9, I'm comfortable with that. You're talking about what? Who are we talking about in round 9? You know, who are we talking about? Like a wide receiver 5, a wide receiver 4 or 5, a running back that is in a committee, a clouded committee, and you're just taking a chance on an RB you'll never use. I'll take Sky Moore all day long in 9-10. We'll see where he climbs. But I'm still taking Kadarius Toney in the beginning double-digit round territory, 10, 11, 12. We'll have to see. Maybe you don't have to take him until 11 or 12. And if that's the case, I'm all in. But I think that people that are going to overreact and say he's garbage now, they're just going to discard him when they had big plans for him. I think there's opportunity here to grab him at literally zero cost. What you need to take away from this live stream is Kadarius Toney was still a little bit risky yesterday. Okay, but you need to slap yourself across the face, walk out of the room, readjust things, walk back into the room, and say, okay, I got a new lens here. I got a new set of glasses I'm looking through, some goggles, and these are objective. And the honest truth is, if you're still saying I'm staying away from him entirely, you're not looking at the newfound value that he has every time something pops up. Now, you may say, Smitty, I'd rather spend a 12th round pick on somebody else. I'd rather draft a kicker, Smitty. I'm just not going near him. I understand that, and I respect that. I disagree with it, but I'm going to sit here and go, you know what? I'm gonna now grab him free. He now has zero risk. You need to look at it from that perspective. He now has zero risk moving forward. My volume is ramped up. I'm sorry, guys. He has zero risk. Absolute zero. You're talking about if he's in the 12th or 13th round, zero risk. There's no reason to not go after Kadarius Toney at literally complete baked in, across the board risk. Now, your expectations should be low because he can't stay healthy. But, I mean, I'm taking him at 11, 12 territory if he falls there. Who are we talking about? Let's pull up ADP rankings and let's take a look at who's going in like we'll call it like the 120s. Let's say he's going in the 115 to 120 range. Let's just say that's where Kadarius Toney now falls, which I think is very reasonable where he's going to go. At the 120s or even the 115, let's go 110. Let's go 105. Let's look at every wide receiver getting drafted after 100 overall, okay? Every single wide receiver getting drafted over 100. Sky Moore 99.9. Sky Moore getting drafted at 99. Let me hook up the phone and we can look at this together. Sky Moore is going to climb, but I'm just telling you that's what his ADP shows as of this moment. 99.9 for Sky Moore. Where's my... Let's hook this up. Hold on one second. Here we go. All right, I'll put it on this side of the screen here. So Sky Moore right here is 99.9 is his ADP. He's gonna climb. He's gonna climb at least to the 80s, the whatever. We got Jameson Williams news too. This guy can't stay healthy as well. You know, he's injured right now. Tyler Boyd. I could understand somebody wanting Tyler Boyd over Kadarius Toney. I can understand it. I don't necessarily think one person is right or wrong. One person doesn't have a great argument over the other. Like Boyd's a wide receiver 3. Charlie Jones might take his job. Like that's Odell Beckham Jr. He can't stay healthy. I mean, come on, Nico Collins, Juju Smith-Schuster, Romeo Doubs. I can understand the appeal on Doubs. If someone likes Doubs more, I get it. I'm probably drafting Toney over Doubs, but I can understand it. Jacoby Myers, get out of here. Get out of here. Zay Jones, I like Zay. I could go either way on that. If let's say my team was an Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty team, Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty team, which might I remind you, your boy got his sign-in. The boys at Underdog are taking care of your boy Smitty. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. It's here. And it looks marvelous. It looks beautiful. And on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty ADP, Zay Jones, I can understand that. Jacoby Myers, get out of here. I'm taking Kadarius Toney over Jacoby all day long. What are we talking about here? Michael Gallup, get out of here. Rondell Moore, come on, I like the guy, but get out of here. Darnell Mooney, I could leave him, I could take him. It doesn't really concern me much. Mingo, I like Mingo, but I'm taking Kadarius Toney. I'm taking both. You can get both. You don't have to choose between. Van Jefferson, get out of here. Come on. You guys really? Valdez-Scantling, I know a lot of people think MVS is going to potentially be a guy that benefits greatly. He could. I'm not necessarily saying throw him to the wind, but give me Toney over MVS. Chark, Peoples-Jones, Marvin Mims, Alec Pierce. I like Alec Pierce, but I'm taking Kadarius Toney. Jaden Reed, he's a rookie. Curtis Samuel, you can get him so much later. The point is, where the ADP droppage is probably going to be for Kadarius Toney, it is a no-brainer to grab him. He now has zero risk. You need to reassess what you're talking about when you say things like, I'm not going near him, he'll never stay healthy. Well, good. Leave him for us, and the doubt is going to kick him down to around 11, 12. If he's a 100+ territory guy, I'm all in. That actually, to be frank with you, puts him in all eggs in one basket territory for me because it's a whole different light. Getting drafted at 100+ overall for a wide receiver is free. It's absolutely free. Now the question is if Sky Moore climbs to, let's say, 80 overall. Let's take a look at the wide receivers in the 80 overall territory and just take a gander. Once you get to about where Kadarius Tony is right now, 74. Okay, so you're talking about like right around this. Let's call it the 7th round loosely. Okay, you got Addison, you got Tony. Okay, Gabe Davis, Pickens. Give me Pickens. Give me Quentin Johnson potentially over Sky Moore right now until we know the pecking order. If we knew Sky Moore was going to be the guy, then I'd be all in on Sky Moore over rookies like Quentin Johnson. But once you get to Burks, I don't love Burks, okay? I don't love Burks like everybody else. I don't. I didn't like him before Hopkins landed in Tennessee. I don't like him now. I liked him coming out of college, but things change. And I don't feel the vibe. I don't feel that he's got that potential at the NFL level. Brandon Cooks, no thank you. I'll take Sky Moore over Brandon Cooks. Elijah Moore, I do like. I think that's a crafty one. Zay Flowers, I kind of like that. And Sky Moore, similar fashion. Zay Moore. Elijah Moore, Zay Flowers, Zay Moore, if you will. Both those guys have nice upside. Bateman, I'm not going after Bateman over Sky Moore. Give me Sky Moore. Michael Thomas, who? Give me Sky Moore. Cortland Sutton, get out of here. Jamison Williams, he's injured. He's injured and he's out for 6 weeks. No. Sky Moore, there he is. So we know Sky Moore's climbing because he's right here, right now, before ADP's adjusted. How high does he climb? Right under Pickens? I'll do that. Give me Pickens over him. Give me Addison. Give me, of course, Jahan Dotson. Now, the bad news about Kadarius Toney, this is probably going to impact guys like Jahan Dotson the most. I love Jahan Dotson, but Jahan Dotson's probably going to be climbing because him and Tony are somewhat of a interchangeable. You take one or you take the other right next to each other, and you can bet your bottom dollar Jahan Dotson's going to go up 1, 2, 3 overall ADP spots minimum, maybe half a round based on one wide receiver move, because when one wide receiver climbs up one spot sometimes, or a running back climbs up one spot, sometimes it nudges everybody around in a really weird way. And because there's quarterbacks and tight ends that are thrown into the mix and running backs, a movement like that can be a 3 or 4 or 5 overall ADP adjustment. So Jahan Dotson, you're getting him in the 7th round comfortably. You might need to take him in round 6. But, there's an impact to these things. It's an adjust and adapt environment. This is an adjust and adapt environment here. Our show is not about digging your heels in. Look, Kadarius Toney, I've drafted him in the 6.5 to 7th round territory in a handful. Not 1 or 2 or small, like well over 10%, maybe 8% of my leagues. Easy. Am I upset? A little bit. Am I worried that I won't get the value back? Yeah, I am. Am I that distraught that it makes me sit in there and stew and get petrified like Peter and start sitting here sulking and doubling down on it? No. I'm going to adjust and adapt. I'm still going to take him at his newfound value, but I'm going to be fine. We're going to be fine. I'm going to move on. We adjust and adapt here, and Sky Moore's next man up. It could be MVS, it could be Rashee Rice, it could be Justin Ross. The one player I want to watch like a hawk right now is Justin Ross, who we all loved coming out of college. This could have been the number 2 or so wide receiver ranked coming out of college, his draft class. And there were some good wide receivers in that draft class. This guy was very highly touted. And I'm not saying he would have been the number 2. I'm saying he could have been the number 2 ranked wide receiver in his draft class. And then he had the spine fusion situation. And then he had the foot injury. And the foot injury is what really kept him out last year. He's been deemed good to go on the spine, but it still is a worrisome thing. But Justin Ross has been catching the attention of Patty Mahomes. I think he's one to really keep an eye on. I think Ross or Sky Moore is the immediate benefactor if Tony is not able to come back in time and just continues to get injured. I think Rashee Rice is interesting, but Andy Reid has a history of usually, not always, but usually waiting on rookies and younger players and new addition players. Why? Not just because it's Andy Reid. It's because the offense is so complicated. You come on over and try and learn it for the first time like Tony did last year. You can only get so far. You can only get so far in the target territory and category because you can't really consume everything, and the offense is too complex to just pick up like that. So there are some concerns about whether whether Rashee Rice would be able to come in and contribute even if they wanted him to. So I think people need to be very, very, I don't know, cautious with the Rashee Rice, opinions. Just don't put all your eggs in one basket there. I don't mind owning him. I don't mind cuffing him, but he is a cuffed. He's a cuff to Sky Moore. He is a cuff to Kadarius Toney. And I give Justin Ross a better odds of climbing up than I do Rashee Rice right now. I do like Rice a lot. I do. Okay, so let's open the phone line up and see what you guys think about this situation. But I realize a lot of you are going to be out. I realize a lot of you are going to look at this from a very, I don't want to say blanket, just disappointment blanket. Just throw a blanket over it and say, it's just too disappointing. I'm moving on. But you gotta adjust, adapt, and come at it from a different angle. Just like Kenneth Walker getting handed Charbonnet, it's a very similar type of mindset you got to get in. Okay, who cares about what you've already drafted? What matters is right now moving forward. You can't control the past. Right now, with all the underdog drafts, promo code Smitty, we're drafting tonight, underdog fantasy, promo code Smitty, with all the drafts moving forward, okay, all those drafts moving forward and all the redraft drafts coming up, what do you do? And is Kadarius Toney at pick 105, 110 worth grabbing? The answer I can tell you already is yes. Cuff him to Sky Moore. Sky Moore might not climb much past round 10, round 9, round 8.5, 9, maybe 9. We'll call it 9. Sky Moore round 9, I'm fine with that. I could go Sky Moore 9, Kadarius Toney 12. So let's ride. Don't beat yourself up over Toney. Who's beating themselves up over Toney, Prime? I'm not beating myself up over Toney. Who's beating themselves up over it? I don't know. I haven't noticed anybody beating themselves up over Toney, Prime. I don't see anybody freaking out about it either, Prime. I see an opportunity, Prime. Toney's season isn't over, says AC. It's, let's let everybody have the doubt, and let's just stroll right in and just scoop them up for free and see what happens. That's my thinking. Phone lines are open.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
I don't think we're going to take this show too long because I don't want to dip into the 7 p.m. show. So we'll go a little bit. Call into the line here, and then we're going to come back and do the 7 p.m. show, which will turn to 8 p.m. Starting August 1. So just know that we've got about 6-7 days, about a week until August 1, and then we go to 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. The Pacific time obviously could change based on the time zone for you or wherever you're at. Arizona, for example, we don't change times, but we do fluctuate inside different time zones, which is weird. So in October, when the time zone changes, I will go live at 6 p.m. instead of 5, but it's still going to remain 8 p.m. Eastern across the board and never change. 8 p.m. Eastern, that is the show, and your time zone, you just got to account for that. Thomas celebrates his 5 months with the YouTube exclusive memberships. Thomas, appreciate you, my guy. And he says, offer Mike Thomas for Sky Moore in Dynasty. I would absolutely take Sky Moore in a heartbeat. Absolutely. Richie James is always open, says Prime. I like Richie James. I like him. Over under that Toney can make it through a practice. Ghost, keep spreading the doubt though, please. I do appreciate you actually. I want him free. I want Kadarius Toney absolutely free moving forward. 0% Toney shares, says Ghost. We can tell, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Richie James, I only like Justin Ross if he can stay healthy. I mean, that's part of the problem with Justin Ross, though. Toney season was never a thing, says Biddies. Okay. Dotson, my most drafted. Love Dotson, bro. Toney season was never a thing. J-Mo is hurt, too. Absolutely. J-Mo is a disappointment. St. Brown season ain't going nowhere. St. Brown, we don't even have a St. Brown animation, do we? Which is very, very disappointing on my part. That's on me. I'm taking a lap on that one.
Take a
about that sign? How about that sign? That sign is killer. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. This thing's amazing. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. There's strobe effects and all that, but it took me some time to get the lighting and everything right, because you add another, very, very bright, light into a studio that's perfectly lit the way you want it, and it adjusts everything. It took me about 25-30 minutes to get all the lighting just right, so I don't really want to adjust it anymore, but that thing is bright as can be. It's pretty awesome. Super chat's coming in. Steven says, take a lap. Steven, take a lap. Steven says, Steven, take a lap. Okay. Take a lap, Steven. Guy wants to send himself on a lap. I don't have a problem with that. That's just, that's preference right there. Super chats from Walter John McGowan. What's up, my guy? I'm feeling great today. All this football news has me excited. Doc approves. Oh, this is Doc. This is the Doc. Walt the Doc. Appreciate you, my guy. Thanks for dropping that's a $20 holler. What am I doing? $20 holler from the Doc. Appreciate this, man.
Alert. Super chat alert.
$20 super chat. $20 super chat.
Alert. Super chat alert.
The Doc coming through. I love the Doc. Doc, appreciate you, pal. Avi says, Gibbs, ETN, Kamara, these three stat lines B in 2023. Are you asking for that, Avi? Avi, you gotta type it out. What are we saying here? Gibbs, ETN, Kamara, these three stat line B in 2023. I think you're wanting the stat lines. I'm gonna say Gibbs, give me 1,600 yards. Woo! 1,600 yards, 12 total tutties, 60 plus receptions. Let's leave it there. Okay, ETN, I want to say like 1,400 yards. I want it to be more. 1,300, 1,400 yards total. I want it to be more. I really do. 40 receptions. I want it to be more. 8-9 touchdowns. I want it to be more. That's just like, if I'm forced to give you a number. Kamara, 900 yards rushing, couple hundred receiving, 7 touchdowns. That's just me being like as objective and careful as I can be without making people think he could do, tons more. He could. That's why we're drafting him there. Thank you, Avi, for your super chat. Steven, thank you for your super chat. Favorite content creator on YouTube, great insight. Thank you, Dez. Appreciate your $2 hauler. You're getting a moonshot, pal. You are getting a moonshot. Dez, you still here? Avi, you still here? Doc, you still here? I want to make sure you guys are still here, and I'm able to celebrate your super chat in front of you. Another moonshot for all of you.
To the moon.
And Overcome dropping monster wads all the time. Just what a hero here on the Fantasy Football Show. Overcome, this character. Garrett Wilson or Pollard. Give me Garrett Wilson all day. Because I can get both of them, something I can't do if I take Pollard over Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's going in the top 8 to 12 overall in my mind. And maybe I can get him later in some scenarios, and that's cool, and I'll do that. If I get him in the second round of Miss Smitty's work league, win. W. Pollard, I think I could get him in maybe the top of the third in Miss Smitty's work league. Boom. You can get both these guys in some scenarios. Garrett Wilson, Pollard, love them both. Want them both. Do we have a Pollard? We don't have a Pollard animation. Let me write these down. We need a Pollard animation. We need a St. Brown. I got work to do. Thank you, Overcome. Thank you, Dez. Thank you, Steven. Thank you, Avi. Thank you, Doc. My boys. Phone lines are open if anybody wants to throw their 2 cents in real quick. I don't know that I'm going to stay much longer because I want to make sure we get back for the 7 p.m. show on time and all that. I don't want to just bleed into it, you know what I mean? So, and take away that show. So we'll take one phone call, dial in, one phone call, phone lines right here, and then we're going to jump. So dial in if you want to talk about this real quick. Gibbs Hall after the Hall news. I mean, Breece Hall, there's nothing wrong with Breece Hall. After what Hall news, Derek? I mean, call in. Derek, call on the phone line. What Hall news are you speaking of? The 23 mile per hour news? Is that what we're talking about? After the Hall news, I mean, Hall is gonna do a hell of a job, my guy. Get Breece, man.
Get Breece.
After the Hall news, I have a feeling Derek is referencing the PUP, but I'm not sure. Call in, Derek, if you want to discuss it, and I appreciate you, by the way. I'm not mad at you. D-Class, what's up?
Hey, man, I just want to let you know that those weeklies are up for the Android users that are in the house. I'm doing my first one right now.
Thank you for letting me know so that I can announce it. So if anybody's looking for the weekly Underdog Fantasy Contest, which is like you draft your best ball team one time, and then you basically walk in as if each week is an individual independent league. You know, week 1 is its own league. Week 2 is its own league. Like, it's one and done. And if you win week 4, it has nothing to do with week 5 or 6 or week 1. You win week 4, you win $20K. And they have those prizes every single. It looks like somebody dropped some exclusive memberships here. Who dropped these? Who in the heck dropped? Gifted. Hold on, D-Class. Let me just. Gifted. Eric. What a saint this man is. Eric gifted 5 YouTube exclusive memberships. Thank you, Eric. To the moon, my guy.
To the moon.
D-Class, what is up? What do you think about Kadarius Tony? And it's okay if you don't like him, but I mean, I get it. Everyone's disappointed and they just want to like wash their hands of the situation. But if he's sitting there at 108 overall, like aren't you buying that?
I might have to take a lap because as I said, I'm doing my first weeklies right now, and I just took them at 71 prior to paying attention to the news. So, I mean, I wish I would have waited on him now, but yeah. I'm not going to stay away from him completely. If he falls to 100, yeah, you best believe I'm gonna hop on that all day.
Yeah, and you know that like in weeklies you'll be okay. You know, in weeklies you'll be okay because even if you miss some time, like all you need him to do is just drop fire for 1 week. I got an all KC team. I'm not upset that I drafted him, you know, early on. It is what it is. If anybody thinks we're not going to run into a couple more of these situations at a minimum, we're going to run into 4, 5, 6, 7 of these between now and September, you know, and so it is what it is.
Well, and if he got the other, if he had the whole KC wide receiver, you know, the rest of them, then you're good anyways. So
yeah.
I'm finding it interesting how the ADP is a little bit different for the weeklies. It's not like super flex, but some of the quarterbacks are definitely a bit higher, and some of the wide receivers fall. I mean, the ADP is significantly different on the weeklies, I'm noticing.
Yeah, the weeklies are pretty interesting. I find myself not wanting to go in the direction of going double QB though, like I do in the best ball 1 QB regular series, because
that's interesting because I took Burrow and Patty because they just so happened to they were the best player available, so I grabbed.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I'm
rocking the two.
I've done it. Don't get me wrong. I've done it in the weeklies. I just feel like when I look at it, I want to have the most firepower for one given week spread out, I think, in the weeklies. But I have done it. I wanted to do it in both formats. And usually I do it with Trevor Lawrence. Like, I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, okay, I got Burrow and I got Mahomes. And then I'm sitting there in like round 6 and I don't like anybody. And everybody I like is down so far. I'm like, I'm going to get them the next round. I'm going to get Dotson in the next round, let's say. And I'm like, I just take Trevor Lawrence, you know. Deckard says Tony at 108 or later for sure. The sign, love the sign, Sky to the moon. I love Sky and Tony together. I do. And thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you, Deckard. Deckard to the moon. D-Class, anything else? I'll be coming back at 7 p.m.
That's a fire sign. That's a fire sign. Oh, man, look at that. Zamir White just went up. Zamir White's climbing. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, nothing. That's a cool sign. I like it.
Yeah, thanks. All right, man. Appreciate you later.
Love.
All right, I'm back. I'll be back. Hit that thumb up button on the way out the door, please. We'll be back. What do we have thumb up wise? We have 49. Come on. 155 of you in here. 49 thumbs up. Hit that thumb up button. I'll be back at 7 p.m. Eastern. Less than an hour. So I'll see you guys all in 45 minutes. Peace out. Live at 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday through Friday starting August 1st. Right now it's 7 p.m. So I'll see you in less than an hour.